Parshat Bo. Exodus 10. Hashem said to Moses, "Come to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, in order that I may place these signs of mine in his midst, and in order that you tell into the ears of your son and your son's son how I made a mockery of the Egyptians, and that you tell of my signs that I placed in them, and you will know that I am Hashem." So Moses and Aaron came to Pharaoh and said to him, "So said Hashem, Elohim of the Hebrews, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, and they will worship me. For if you refuse to let them go, behold, tomorrow I am going to bring locusts into your borders, and they will obscure the view of the earth, and no one will be able to see the earth, and they will eat the surviving remnant which remains for you from the hail. And they will eat all your trees that grow out of the field, and your houses, and the houses of all your servants, and the houses of all the Egyptians will be filled, which your fathers and your fathers' fathers did not see since the day they were on the earth until this day." Therewith he turned and left Pharaoh. Pharaoh's servants said to him, "How long will this one be a stumbling block to us? Let the people go, and they will worship Hashem their Elohim. Don't you yet know that Egypt is lost?" Thereupon Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh. And he said to them, "Go worship Hashem your Elohim, who are going?" Moses said, "With our youth and with our elders we will go, with our sons and with our daughters, with our flocks and with our cattle we will go, for it is a festival of Hashem to us." So Pharaoh said to them, "So may Hashem be with you, just as I will let you and your young children out. See that evil is before your faces. Not so. Let the men go now and worship Hashem, for that is what you request." And he chased them out from before Pharaoh. Hashem said to Moses, "Stretch forth your hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, and they will ascend over the land of Egypt, and they will eat all the vegetation of the earth, all that the hail has left over." So Moses stretched forth his staff over the land of Egypt, and Hashem led an east wind in the land all that day and all the night. By the time it was morning, the east wind had borne the locusts. The locusts ascended over the entire land of Egypt, and they alighted within all the borders of Egypt, very severe. Before them there was never such a locust plague, and after it there will never be one like it. They obscured the view of all the earth, and the earth became darkened, and they ate all the vegetation of the earth and all the fruits of the trees, which the hail had left over, and no greenery was left in the trees or in the vegetation of the fields throughout the entire land of Egypt. Pharaoh hastened to summon Moses and Aaron, and he said, "I have sinned against Hashem your Elohim and against you. But now, forgive now my sin only this time, and entreat Hashem your Elohim, and let him remove from me just this death." So Moses, left Pharaoh and entreated Hashem, and Hashem reversed a very strong west wind, and it picked up the locusts and thrust them into the Red Sea. Not one locust remained within all the borders of Egypt, but Hashem strengthened Pharaoh's heart, and he did not let the children of Israel go out. Hashem said to Moses, "Stretch forth your hand toward the heavens, and there will be darkness over the land of Egypt, and the darkness will become darker." So Moses stretched forth his hand toward the heavens, and there was thick darkness over the entire land of Egypt for 3 days. They did not see each other, and no one rose from his place for 3 days, but for all the children of Israel there was light in their dwellings. Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, "Go, worship Hashem, but your flocks and your cattle shall be left. Your young children may also go with you." But Moses said, "You too shall give sacrifices and burnt offerings into our hands, and we will make them for Hashem our Elohim. And also our cattle will go with us. Not a single hoof will remain, for we will take from it to worship Hashem our Elohim, and we do not know how much we will worship Hashem until we arrive there." Hashem strengthened Pharaoh's heart, and he was unwilling to let them out. Pharaoh said to him, "Go away from me. Beware, you shall no longer see my face, for on the day that you see my face you shall die." Thereupon Moses said, "You have spoken correctly. I shall no longer see your face." Exodus 11. Hashem said to Moses, "I will bring one more plague upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt, Afterwards he will let you go from here. When he lets you out, he will completely drive you out of here. Please speak into the ears of the people and let them ask, each man from his friend and each woman from her friend, silver vessels and golden vessels. So Hashem gave the people favor in the Egyptians' eyes. Also the man Moses was highly esteemed in the land of Egypt, in the eyes of Pharaoh's servants and in the eyes of the people. Moses said, "So said Hashem at the dividing point of the night, I will go out into the midst of Egypt, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt will die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne to the firstborn of the slave woman who is behind the millstones and every firstborn animal. And there will be a great cry throughout the entire land of Egypt, such as there never has been and such as there shall never be again. But to all the children of Israel not one dog will whet its tongue against either man or beast, in order that you shall know that Hashem will separate between the Egyptians and between Israel. And all these servants of yours will come down to me and prostrate themselves to me, saying, Go out, you and all the people who are at your feet, and afterwards I will go out." Then he, Moses, exited from Pharaoh with burning anger. Hashem said to Moses, "Pharaoh will not heed you in order to increase my miracles in the land of Egypt." Moses and Aaron had performed all these miracles before Pharaoh, but Hashem strengthened Pharaoh's heart, and he didn't let the children of Israel out of his land. Exodus 12. Hashem spoke to Moses and to Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, "This month shall be to you the head of the months. To you it shall be the first of the months of the year. Speak to the entire community of Israel, saying, On the 10th of this month let each one take a lamb for each parental home, a lamb for each household. But if the household is too small for a lamb, then he and his neighbor, who is nearest to his house, shall take one according to the number of people, each one according to one's ability to eat. Shall you be counted for the lamb? You shall have a perfect male lamb in its first year. You may take it either from the sheep or from the goats. And you shall keep it for inspection until the 14th day of this month. And the entire congregation of the community of Israel shall slaughter it in the afternoon. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and on the lintel, on the houses in which they will eat it. And on this night they shall eat the flesh, roasted over the fire, and unleavened cakes. With bitter herbs they shall eat it. You shall not eat it rare or boiled in water, except roasted over the fire, its head with its legs and with its innards. And you shall not leave over any of it until morning, and whatever is left over of it until morning you shall burn in fire. And this is how you shall eat it: your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is a Passover sacrifice to Hashem. I will pass through the land of Egypt on this night, and I will smite every firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and upon all Elohim of Egypt will I wreak judgments. I am Hashem. And the blood will be for you for a sign upon the houses where you will be, and I will see the blood and skip over you, and there will be no plague to destroy you when I smite the people of the land of Egypt. And this day shall be for you as a memorial, and you shall celebrate it as a festival for Hashem. Throughout your generations you shall celebrate it as an everlasting statute. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened cakes, but on the preceding day you shall clear away all leaven from your houses. For whoever eats leaven from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And on the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and on the 7th day you shall have a holy convocation. No work may be performed on them, but what is eaten by any soul, that alone may be performed for you. And you shall watch over the unleavened cakes, for on this very day I have taken your legions out of the land of Egypt, and you shall observe this day throughout your generations as an everlasting statute. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month in the evening, you shall eat unleavened cakes, until the 21st day of the month in the evening. For 7 days leavening shall not be found in your houses. For whoever eats leavening, that soul shall be cut off from the community of Israel, both among the strangers and the native, born of the land. You shall not eat any leavening. Throughout all your dwellings you shall eat unleavened cakes. Moses summoned all the elders of Israel and said to them, "Draw forth or buy for yourselves sheep for your families and slaughter the Passover sacrifice. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop and immerse it in the blood that is in the basin, and you shall extend to the lintel and to the 2 doorposts the blood that is in the basin, and you shall not go out, any man, from the entrance of his house until morning. Hashem will pass to smite the Egyptians, and he will see the blood on the lintel and on the 2 doorposts. And Hashem will pass over the entrance, and he will not permit the destroyer to enter your houses to smite you. And you shall keep this matter as a statute for you and for your children forever. And it shall come to pass when you enter the land that Hashem will give you, as he spoke, that you shall observe this service. And it will come to pass, if your children say to you, "What is this service to you?" you shall say, "It is a Passover sacrifice to Hashem, for he passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt when he smote the Egyptians, and he saved our houses, and the people kneeled and prostrated themselves." And the people kneeled and prostrated themselves. So the children of Israel went and did, as Hashem commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. It came to pass at midnight, and Hashem smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on his throne to the firstborn of the captive who is in the dungeon, and every firstborn animal. And Pharaoh arose at night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great outcry in Egypt, for there was no house in which no one was dead. So he called for Moses and Aaron at night, and he said, "Get up and get out from among my people, both you as well as the children of Israel, and go, serve Hashem as you have spoken. Take also your flocks and also your cattle as you have spoken, and go. But you shall also bless me." So the Egyptians took hold of the people to hasten to send them out of the land, for they said, "We are all dead." The people picked up their dough when it was not yet leavened, their leftovers bound in their garments on their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to Moses' order, and they asked from the Egyptians silver objects, golden objects, and garments. Hashem gave the people favor in the eyes of the Egyptians, and they let them have their request, and they emptied out Egypt. The children of Israel journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot, the men, besides the young children. And also a great mixed multitude went up with them, and flocks and cattle, very much livestock. They baked the dough that they had taken out of Egypt as unleavened cakes, for it had not leavened, for they were driven out of Egypt, and they could not tarry, and also they had not made provisions for themselves. And the habitation of the children of Israel, that they dwelled in Egypt, was 430 years. It came to pass at the end of 430 years, and it came to pass in that very day that all the legions of Hashem went out of the land of Egypt. It is a night of anticipation for Hashem, to take them out of the land of Egypt. This night is Hashem's, guarding all the children of Israel throughout their generations. Hashem said to Moses and Aaron, "This is the statute of the Passover sacrifice. No estranged one may eat of it. And every man's slave purchased for his money, you shall circumcise him. Then he will be permitted to eat of it. A sojourner or a hired hand may not eat of it. It must be eaten in one house. You shall not take any of the meat out of the house to the outside, neither shall you break any of its bones. The entire community of Israel shall make it, and should a proselyte reside with you, he shall make a Passover sacrifice to Hashem. All his males shall be circumcised, and then he may approach to make it. And he will be like the native of the land, but no uncircumcised male may eat of it. There shall be one law for the native and for the stranger who resides in your midst." All the children of Israel did, as Hashem had commanded Moses and Aaron, so they did. It came to pass on that very day that Hashem took the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt with their legions. Exodus 13. Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, "Sanctify to me every firstborn, every one that opens the womb among the children of Israel, among man and among animals. It is mine." Moses said to the people, "Remember this day when you went out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For with a mighty hand Hashem took you out of here, and therefore no leaven shall be eaten. Today you are going out in the month of spring. And it will come to pass that Hashem will bring you into the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he swore to your forefathers to give you a land flowing with milk and honey, and you shall perform this service in this month. For 7 days you shall eat unleavened cakes, and on the 7th day there is a festival for Hashem. Unleavened cakes shall be eaten during the 7 days, and no leaven shall be seen of yours in your possession, and no leavening shall be seen of yours throughout all of your borders. And you shall tell your son on that day, saying, Because of this, Hashem did this for me when I went out of Egypt. And it shall be to you as a sign upon your hand, and as a remembrance between your eyes, in order that the law of Hashem shall be in your mouth. For with a mighty hand Hashem took you out of Egypt. And you shall keep this statute at its appointed time from year to year. And it will come to pass when Hashem will bring you into the land of the Canaanites, as he swore to you and to your forefathers, and he has given it to you that you shall give over to Hashem whatever opens the womb, and every miscarriage that opens the womb of an animal which will be yours, the males belong to Hashem. And every firstborn donkey you shall redeem with a lamb, and if you do not redeem it, you shall decapitate it, and every firstborn of man among your sons you shall redeem. And it will come to pass, if your son asks you in the future, saying, What is this? You shall say to him, With a mighty hand did Hashem take us out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh was too stubborn to let us out, Hashem slew every firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I slaughter to Hashem all males that open the womb, and every firstborn of my sons I will redeem. And it shall be for a sign upon your hand and for ornaments between your eyes, for with a mighty hand did Hashem take us out of Egypt.